Chapter 5. The Museum of Strange Objects. The circus came to Einstein's town in the third week of July. Einstein took Dennis. They enjoyed seeing the lion tamer, the trapeze artists, the clowns, and all the other acts in the big top. When the show was over, they decided to see some of the exhibits in the sideshows. The sideshows were set up in a series of small tents just behind the big top. The tents were set up to display all kinds of people with strange talents, such as a strong man, a fat lady, a sword swallower, a man who walked on fire, and someone who could tell your fortune just by feeling the bumps on your head. Yep. Painting again. Window out to the view, black frame. How can you tell a person's fortune just by the bumps on his head? Dennis asked. It's about as accurate as telling a person's fortune by reading his palm or with a crystal ball or by the stars, Einstein said. You mean you don't believe in the stars? Dennis asked. I believe in the stars, Einstein answered, and also in planets, comets, meteors, nebulae, and galaxies. But somehow I find it difficult to believe that my lucky day depends on groups of stars millions and millions of kilometres beyond the Earth. I see what you mean, said Dennis. Well, I hope I didn't startle you, Einstein said. Ugh, said Dennis. The circus also had food stands, rides and games. Einstein and Dennis each ate a hot dog, hamburger, chips, a milkshake and candy floss, rode the roller coaster 3 times and tried to ring a bell with a sledgehammer. Einstein could easily lift the hammer over his head, and when he let the hammer drop, the chart read, Weakling. Dennis laughed, but when he tried the game, he didn't do any better. Einstein decided not to laugh when he saw the look on his brother's face. The boys were walking out of the sideshow and about to leave when they passed a tent that had a curious sign. The sign read, The Museum of Strange Objects. A man standing in front was trying to get people to go in. He spoke through a megaphone. A substantial reward to anyone who can prove any of the objects inside is a fake. Einstein said, Let's go in and see what they've got, Dennis. Maybe we can win the prize. The boys walked over and checked the price of admission. Dennis reached into his pocket and counted the money he had left. I only have a little left, said Dennis. Maybe everything in there is real. Even if it isn't, how can we prove it? I think we should spend the money on ice cream. Usually Einstein loved ice cream, but for some reason his stomach wasn't feeling too good just at that moment. Come on, Dennis, he said. Let's take a chance. If we win the prize, you can buy all the ice cream you want. Dennis thought it over and then decided. We'll go into the museum, Einstein, but I hope you can prove one of the things in there is fake. Inside the tent, several tables had been set up. On the tables were several dozen objects, ranging from eggs to rocks to shoes. Each object had a small typed label in front of it. The labels told a story about each of the objects. Einstein and Dennis walked around and looked at each of the objects. There were exhibits of moon rocks, spaceman shoes, and the nose cone of a recovered rocket. There were large eggshells that, according to their labels, came from a golden eagle, the turkey vulture, and the big brown bat. There were also some turtle eggs and the skin of a 6-metre long python. On another table was a collection of pieces of broken pottery that had been found in a buried Indian village in the rainforests of Central America. The table also had several pieces of polished rock on it. The sign with the rocks read that they had once been a tree trunk that had changed to stone over 1,000 years. Dennis picked up one of the pieces of rock. "This is probably fake," he said. "Who ever heard of a tree that became a rock?" Einstein looked at the rock carefully and then stared at Dennis. "Better a rock tree than a rock head," he said meaningfully. "Very funny," said Dennis, but he didn't laugh. As they kept wandering around the tent, Dennis started to get cross. "I'm getting very hungry, Einstein," he said. "I hope you can prove that something here is a fake. Is the rock a fake, or are all the objects fake?" "Oh, there's no problem about that," said Einstein. "It's quite obvious that at least one of the objects is not what it says." "And can you solve the puzzle? Which object was a fake?" Now, the clue is in all of these chapters. So, going back to moon shoes, moon rocks, 6-metre python skin. Can a python get to 6 metres? Yes. Let's see what the answer is. "I still think those tree rocks are a fake," Dennis said. "I'm afraid not," said Einstein. "Those rocks are called petrified wood. They're usually found in the form of logs, tree trunks and stumps. Over thousands of years, each wood cell is replaced by a chemical called silica, and silica turns into rock." "Well, if it's not the rocks, then it must be the python skin," Dennis said. "Who ever heard of a 6-metre long snake?" "I have," Einstein said. "Pythons can grow to a length of more than 9 metres. "Then what exhibit is a fake?" Dennis asked. "The one object that is surely a fake is the brown bat's eggshell," Einstein said. "How do you know?" Dennis asked. "Because bats are flying mammals, not birds. Their wings are really arms with long fingers. A thin furry skin stretched between the fingers forms the wing. And, of course, bats don't lay eggs like birds. Bats, like other mammals, give birth to living young." Einstein grinned. "You might say that the museum got its egg scrambled." "That reminds me," Dennis said. "I'm hungry." "Okay, now what is it time for? Bed. So what do we say? Toilet, teeth, bed. Now, what about the light? 1, 2, 3. Night, night, darling. Love you.